What's up, guys? I'm CandidCrandell, and today I am talking about my experiences with anxiety and depression. I've kind of always been an anxious person. Growing up, I was always told that it was because I cared a lot about succeeding and that I was a perfectionist, and it was framed as not a bad thing, that I was just really hardworking and I had really high expectations for myself. When I finally sought out treatment, it felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, when in reality it's been something that I've been battling with for most of my life, unbeknownst to me. When did I decide to get help? I moved to New York City in January of 2010 when I was 20 years old. I moved there with my boyfriend to go to school at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. It's a conservatory program, really intense, like you couldn't miss classes. And New York City in and of itself is a pretty intense experience. It was a lot to adjust to, and I think that what was already going on for me in terms of anxiety and depression was just triggered more by all of the things and the stresses happening around me in New York. There was one day I remember in my first semester, I woke up and within like 5 minutes of my alarm going off, I just had like a meltdown. I felt anxious and upset. I felt like I could not go to class, but I knew that I had to. I ended up skipping the morning warm-up just to give myself a chance to cry it out. Then I got to school and I was crumpled into a ball in front of the actual classroom, still crying after having spent all of this time crying at home. Went into class because I had to. It ended up being a really good day in class for me. I got some really good feedback from my teacher. I was like, wow, I had this complete and utter meltdown about this, and it was fine. It made me realize that something was going on and that I shouldn't feel this way about something that I like doing, and it felt like it was getting in the way of me doing what I wanted to do. All right, well, I need to do something, but I didn't really know what to do. Luckily for me, there was a girl in my class. She was a few years older than me, and she had had some similar experiences with depression and anxiety and bipolar. She actually had gotten resources when she first moved to New York about places that she could go for herself, and she passed them along to me. And I'm really, really grateful that she did, because I was definitely at a point where like I knew I needed help, but not knowing how to get help made it so much worse. And I don't know if I could have found help for myself. I ended up calling this place called the Ryan Center. I spoke to the director of the mental health department. She, asked for my name, my age, and she asked me why I was calling and why I wanted to speak to someone, just to kind of gauge what was going on. That's a pretty standard question to ask. I lost it. I just started bawling. I was sitting in like the lobby of my school on the phone with this woman, just tears everywhere. Like, she didn't judge me, she just listened. She set me up with an intake appointment. I felt this huge weight lifted off of me just because the process had started. Someone was going to be able to point me in the direction of what was going on. I started talking to a therapist. That was a really good experience because it just got me comfortable with speaking to someone in a therapy setting, because I had been taken to a therapist when I was in high school and it was a really, really negative experience for me. So I had a lot of trust issues regarding that. She classified me as having a generalized anxiety disorder with depression. Essentially what would happen, or what does happen, is I would get so anxious, and then when I wouldn't be able to do anything about the anxiety, I would feel depressed and worthless and like something was wrong with me because I couldn't do anything about the anxiety. And after a little over a month, she brought up if I would be interested in talking to someone about getting on medication. I had been really like not sure about medication, but after talking to someone for over a month and then being like, look, you still have to talk to someone and you still need to do work, but if there's something chemically imbalanced, that's something that can be fairly easily remedied. I agreed to meet with a psychiatrist who was able to prescribe medication for me. I have been on Zoloft ever since. I also take something at night because I get a lot of anxiety like before bedtime and it causes insomnia. And then I have something for planes because, as we all know, planes are difficult for me. I was in therapy for pretty much most of the time that I lived in New York City. I started in April 2010 and then I continued through January of 2013 when I moved. I had an amazing therapist. I learned that yes, my anxiety is going to be something that I probably have to deal with for most of my life, but it does not have to be something that controls my life and that is a ruling force in my life. Anxiety is just a part of who I am, and it's part of my given circumstances. Everyone has something, and my thing is anxiety. Instead of trying to cure it and fix it, waiting for the day when I can live without it, I learned that I needed to focus on figuring out ways to work with it and live with it. When I feel like I'm having an anxiety attack now, I try to talk back to my anxiety. It kind of reminds me of that thing that Oprah always says that women should do if someone shady is like following you in a parking lot. You turn around and you like look them right in the eye and you ask them what time it is, or you talk about the weather. Something to let them know that you know that they're there. It's the same basic thing with anxiety, I feel like. Once you go, hey anxiety, what's up? I see that you're happening right now because of this. That's cool. I accept it. Move forward with it. When I was resistant to it and when I would get depressed about being anxious, it didn't help the anxiety, it just fed it. The best thing that I found that I can do is acknowledge its presence. It's very, very helpful because it makes me feel empowered and it makes me feel like I am in control of things, because the issue with anxiety is that a lot of times you feel like you're out of control, that there is nothing you can do, and it feels hopeless and paralyzing. Taking back any little bit of power that you can, I feel like, is really healthy for you. I read this quote: when there's a challenge that you have to overcome, it's the same thing as a giant wave. When there's a wave coming at you in the ocean, you can't try to go over it because it's too big. You can't try to outrun it because you're not going to. The only thing that you can really do is dive into it and go through it and come up out the other side. And that really resonated with me, and I felt like that's a lot of what dealing with anxiety is about. A few of you have asked me if my anxiety is something that will like keep me from doing meetups and going to conventions and stuff like that. No, not at all. I have been to VidCon for the past 2 years. I'm planning on going again this year. It's definitely like a higher anxiety situation for me just because there are a lot of people, but I feel like the people that are YouTube fans are just so great that it's worth going and it's worth the little extra anxiety. I don't want it to be something that keeps me from doing things, but like I always want you guys to feel like you can like say hi to me if you see me at VidCon or Playlist or wherever in real life, because I'm not like scared of you. I'm not gonna be like people. That's not gonna happen. I get anxious, but it doesn't make me a person that you have to be like extra sensitive around or anything like that. And to any of you that are currently struggling with anxiety or depression, know that you're not alone, and I'm here if you want to talk or write stuff down in the comments. It's something that you can work through. It doesn't make you weird or broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just a part of who you are, and it's okay. So yeah, that's kind of my story. If you guys have any questions for me specifically, or if you want to share any of your own experiences, I would love to talk to you about them. If you don't already, you can follow me on Twitter, Tumblr, Blogspot, and Instagram, username CandidCrandell. I put out videos every Tuesday and Thursday on my channel, so make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any of them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you again on Thursday. Bye.